The council chamber floated in space like a crystal diamond. Ambassador Taiwan stood at the center, surrounded by hundreds of alien faces. Some looked like giant insects. Others glowed with strange lights. A few resembled walking trees. All of them were staring at him. Taiwan took a deep breath. He had practiced this speech for weeks. Today, humanity would show the galaxy something amazing. Behind him stood 3 other humans. Colonel Ji-hai wore her military uniform with pride. Dr. Hyun-woo clutched a data device that held their greatest discovery. Young Da-eun watched the alien faces carefully, trying to read their reactions. The Galactic Unity Council had existed for thousands of years. 847 different alien species belonged to it. Earth joined only 73 years ago. Humans were still the new kids in this cosmic neighborhood. Most aliens barely noticed them. Some thought humans were interesting. A few considered them dangerous. Taiwan began his presentation. He explained how human scientists had invented something called the quantum fold drive. This machine could move ships across the galaxy instantly. No waiting. No long journeys. Just fold space and appear anywhere. The hologram showed how it worked with bright blue lights and spinning diagrams. The aliens whispered among themselves. Some colors on the wall changed from blue to amber. Blue meant they agreed. Red meant no. Amber meant they were unsure. Taiwan smiled. Amber was better than red. He kept talking, explaining how this technology could help everyone. No more paying huge fees to use the expensive gateways. Any species could travel freely. Then everything went wrong. A massive reptilian alien rose from his seat. High Chancellor Vexthor of the Velkari Imperium. His scales gleamed under the chamber lights. His voice hissed like steam escaping from a pipe. The Velkari controlled all the gateways in the galaxy. They made billions from fees every day, and now humans wanted to make those gateways useless. Vexthor pointed a clawed finger at Taiwan. His words shocked everyone. He accused humans of building illegal weapons. He claimed they were testing dangerous technology that could destroy entire star systems. He said humans violated the Treaty of Unified Peace, the same treaty that kept the galaxy safe for centuries. Taiwan felt his heart sink. This was a lie, a complete lie. But Vexthor had proof. Screens lit up around the chamber. They showed recordings of human ships near exploding stars, documents with official Earth government stamps. Even testimony from witnesses who claimed they saw the weapons. Colonel Ji-hai stepped forward. Her voice was sharp and clear. She explained that the recordings were fake. The documents were forged. The witnesses were lying. But who would believe her? Humans had been council members for less than a century. The Velkari had been here for thousands of years. They had friends, allies, and power. Da-eun watched the wall colors change. More and more lights turned red. The aliens were voting against humanity. Some probably believed the lies. Others just feared what humans might become. Many depended on Velkari gateways for trade and travel. They would not risk angering such powerful allies. Dr. Hyun-woo tried to speak. He wanted to explain the science to prove their quantum fold drive was safe. But nobody listened. The vote had already begun. Lights flashed across the chamber like fireworks. Blue, red, amber, but mostly red. So much red. Taiwan felt like he was drowning. He had spent his whole career believing in the council. He thought different species could work together. He believed in peace and cooperation. Now he watched that dream die. 750 species voted to expel humanity. Only 24 voted no. 73 did not vote at all. The sentence was immediate. Humanity must leave council space. They could not use the gateways anymore. All trade agreements were canceled. All technology sharing stopped. Earth and its 47 colony worlds were cut off, alone, isolated, abandoned. As the council chamber doors opened, Taiwan turned to his team. Colonel Ji-hai's jaw was tight with anger. Dr. Hyun-woo looked like someone had punched him. Da-eun was already taking notes, documenting everything. They walked toward their ship in silence. The hallways felt longer than before. Other aliens avoided looking at them. Some whispered. A few looked ashamed. But none of them helped. None of them spoke up. On the ship called Endurance, the human delegation sat together. Nobody spoke at first. They were too shocked, too hurt, too angry. Finally, Colonel Ji-hai broke the silence. Her voice was quiet but firm. "Maybe this is good," she said. Maybe we needed this. We were so busy trying to fit in that we forgot what humans do best. We survive, we adapt, we overcome. Dr. Hyunwoo hugged his data device tighter. The quantum fold drive was still theirs. The council did not take that away, and he had other ideas. Better ideas. Ideas that would change everything. Da-un looked out the window as they left. The council station grew smaller and smaller. It looked so beautiful from here. So peaceful. But she knew the truth now. It was rotten inside, built on lies and control. Maybe Colonel Jihai was right. Maybe this was good. Taewon said nothing. He just watched the stars. Somewhere out there, millions of humans lived on colony worlds. They depended on council gateways for food, medicine, and supplies. What would happen to them now? How many would die because of this betrayal? The ship jumped to faster than light speed. The stars stretched into lines. In a few days, they would reach Earth. They would have to tell everyone the terrible news. Humanity was alone now, cast out, banished. But as the Endurance flew through the darkness, something strange happened. Instead of despair, the four humans began to feel something else. Determination, anger, yes, but also purpose. The council thought they were punishing humanity. They thought isolation would break them. They were wrong. Humans had been pushed down before. Throughout history, they faced extinction, disease, war, and disaster every time they got back up. Every time they found a way. This would be no different. Colonel Jihai started making plans. Dr. Hyunwoo began sketching new designs. Daeun drafted messages to send to Earth. Even Taiwan felt his shock turning into resolve. If the Council would not accept humanity as equals, then humanity would build something better. Something stronger. Something the galaxy had never seen. The Velkari thought they had won. High Chancellor Vexthor probably celebrated that night. He had protected his gateway monopoly. He had removed a threat. He had taught the upstart humans their place. But he had made a terrible mistake. He had not destroyed humanity. He had freed them. No more rules to follow. No more trying to fit in. No more holding back to avoid offending alien sensibilities. Humans could now do what they did best. Build, create, innovate, survive. As Earth came into view through the ship's windows, Taewon finally smiled. It was a sad smile, but a real one. They had lost today. The Council had rejected them. But this was not the end of humanity's story. It was just the beginning. The news hit Earth like a hammer. Within hours, every human on every world knew. The Council had kicked them out. The gateways were closed. The colonies were stranded. Panic spread faster than light. On Mars, people rushed to stores and emptied the shelves. On Europa, fights broke out at supply depots. On the distant colony of New Sol, parents hugged their children and wondered if help would ever come. The gateways had carried food, medicine, and equipment. Without them, colonies would starve. In the first month, 12,000 people died. Supply ships could not reach remote colonies in time. Hospitals ran out of medicine. Some colonies rioted. Earth's government tried to help, but they were too slow. Too unprepared. Too shocked. Governments on Earth began to collapse. People were angry. They demanded someone fix this mess. They wanted leaders who would beg the Council to take them back. They wanted anyone who promised easy solutions. Director Wu Jin saw a different path. He was a quiet man who had managed colony logistics for 20 years. He knew exactly how bad things were, but he also knew something else. Humans had survived worse. They just needed to think differently. Wu Jin called a secret meeting in Geneva, underground where nobody could hear. He invited Taewon, Jihai, Hyunwoo, Daeun, and Fleet Admiral Kyung-soo. 6 people in a bunker while the world burned above them. They had to make a choice that would decide humanity's future. Should they beg the Council for mercy? Should they declare war, or should they do something nobody expected? Dr. Hyunwoo spoke first. His eyes were red from not sleeping. He had been working non-stop since they got back. The quantum fold drive was just the start, he explained. He had designs for better power sources, new weapons, ways to make supplies without needing trade. But he needed time, and resources, and everyone to work together. Colonel Jihai agreed. War was stupid, she said. They could not fight 800 alien species. But they could defend themselves. They could make the Council regret this decision, not through violence but through strength. Make humanity so strong that nobody would dare dismiss them again. Daeun had been studying history. Every successful civilization had one thing in common: unity. Earth's problem was that governments still competed with each other. Colonies had their own rules. Everyone pulled in different directions. That had to stop. Director Wu Jin laid out his plan. He called it the Consolidation Protocol. Every government on Earth and every colony would merge into one. The United Earth government would have total control. They would take whatever resources they needed, force everyone to contribute. It was harsh. It was unfair, but it might save them. Taiwan hated the idea. He was a diplomat. He believed in democracy and freedom. But he looked at the numbers. 2 million deaths in year 1. Maybe 10 million in year 2 if nothing changed. Sometimes he realized you had to break the rules to save everything. They voted. It was unanimous. The Consolidation Protocol would begin immediately. The next 3 years were brutal. Wu Jin's government seized control of everything. Factories switched from making consumer goods to building ships and weapons. Scientists were drafted like soldiers. Anyone with useful skills had to contribute or face consequences. People lost freedoms they had enjoyed for centuries. There were protests, some small rebellions, but the government crushed them. Not because they wanted to be cruel, but because they had no choice. Every delay meant more deaths. Every argument wasted time they did not have. Colonel Ji Hai took control of the military. She turned exploration ships into warships. Civilian vessels got weapons and shields. She established warning stations at the edges of human space. If anyone came looking for trouble, humanity would see them coming. Dr. Hyunwoo barely slept. He worked 20 hours a day every day. His team of scientists followed his example. They invented new power sources that pulled energy from empty space. They built machines that could create food and medicine from basic atoms. They designed weapons that made nuclear bombs look like firecrackers. The biggest breakthrough came in year 3. Dr. Hyunwoo created something he called the Stellar Forge. It was a massive structure that could open wormholes anywhere in space. Unlike the Council's gateways, these did not need maintenance. They did not need permission. They just worked. With stellar forges, humanity could reconnect their colonies. Supply ships could reach distant worlds in hours instead of months. The crisis was finally ending. People could breathe again. Then the Valkyrie came. A fleet of 15 Valkyrie warships appeared near the colony of New Beijing. They expected to find desperate humans ready to surrender, ready to beg for help, ready to accept whatever humiliating terms the Valkyrie offered. Instead, they found the Phoenix fleet. 30 human warships equipped with quantum fold drives and weapons the Valkyrie had never imagined. Admiral Kyung-soo commanded the fleet personally. He sent one message to the Valkyrie: "Leave now or learn why you should have left us alone." The Valkyrie attacked. They were arrogant. They had better ships, they thought. More experience. Thousands of years of military tradition. What could primitive humans do? The battle lasted 11 minutes. Human ships folded space around the Valkyrie. They appeared behind them, above them, beside them. The Valkyrie could not track targets that teleported every few seconds. Their weapons hit nothing but empty space. Meanwhile, human weapons tore through Valkyrie shields like paper. 14 Valkyrie ships were destroyed. Admiral Kyung-soo deliberately let one escape. That ship carried wounded survivors and a recorded message. He wanted them to tell the Council what happened. He wanted everyone to know. Humanity was not broken, not defeated, not begging. They were dangerous now. The victory felt good, but it came with a price. Everyone who had worked so hard paid for it. Colonel Ji Hai's youngest son died when a colony ran out of medical supplies in year 1. She kept working anyway, channeling grief into determination. Dr. Hyunwoo developed health problems from exhaustion. His hands shook constantly. He ignored doctors who told him to rest. There was too much work, too many ideas, too little time. Director Wu Jin made decisions that haunted him. He ordered military forces to seize resources from colonies that refused to cooperate. People died. He told himself it was necessary. That more would have died otherwise, but he still saw their faces in his dreams. Taiwan changed the most. The idealistic diplomat who believed in cooperation and peace was gone. In his place stood a pragmatic leader who understood that sometimes you had to be ruthless. Sometimes you had to make terrible choices. Sometimes the only way to save your people was to become someone you did not recognize. Dayun documented everything, every decision, every sacrifice, every breakthrough and every failure. She knew future generations would need to understand this time, the dark years when humanity almost died but chose to fight instead. By year 5, things were different. The colonies were stable. The death toll stopped growing. New ships launched every week. Stellar forges connected human space like veins carrying blood. Scientists made breakthroughs monthly that would have taken decades before. Humans were no longer the desperate refugees the Council had abandoned. They were becoming something else. Something stronger. Something that made other species nervous. The Council noticed. Reports reached Axis Prime about human military strength, about their new technologies, about the Velkari defeat. Some Council members started asking questions. Had they made a mistake? Had they pushed humanity too far? But it was too late for questions. Humanity had learned their lesson. They would never trust the Council again. They would never depend on alien charity or mercy. From now on, they would rely on themselves. Director Wu Jin stood on Earth looking up at the stars. 5 years ago, he had been a logistics manager. Now he controlled the most powerful unified government humanity ever created. The cost had been terrible. The sacrifices enormous, but they survived more than survived. They had planted seeds that would grow into something the galaxy had never seen. The dark years were ending. A new dawn was coming and humanity was ready. Banished from the Council, humanity built an empire beyond dreams. 10 years had passed since the banishment. Earth looked different now. The cities gleamed with new buildings. Ships launched from orbit every hour. Colonies spread across hundreds of star systems. The dark years felt like a bad dream, almost forgotten. Director Wu Jin had stepped down. He was tired. The weight of all those decisions finally crushed him. Premier Yunji took his place. She was younger, energetic, full of ideas. She believed humanity could do more than just survive. They could thrive. Under Eunji's leadership, the government changed. No more emergency powers. No more forced labor. The crisis had ended. Now humanity could breathe and think about the future. She created the Terran Commonwealth, a federal system where each colony had freedom but everyone worked together for defense and science. Colonel Jihai was now General Jihai. She commanded the Commonwealth Defense Fleet, the most advanced military force in the galaxy. Her philosophy was simple and direct. Never again would humanity be weak. Never again would they depend on others for safety. Dr. Hyunwoo led something called the Aurora Initiative. It was a massive research program that included thousands of scientists. They invented incredible things. Machines that created energy from nothing. Technology that could copy matter atom by atom. Most impressive was the Genesis engine, a device that could turn dead planets into living worlds in just decades. Then something unexpected happened. A ship appeared at the edge of human space. It was not human, not Velkari, not any council species anyone recognized. The ship was made of crystal and light. Inside were beings called the Litharii, creatures made of living silicon and glass. The Litharii sent a simple message. Help us, please. Their story was tragic. The Velkari Imperium had invaded their home system. The Velkari did not consider the Litharii to be people, just talking rocks, resources to mine and exploit. The Litharii fled, searching for anyone who might show mercy. They found humanity. Tae-Wan was first speaker now, the highest diplomatic position in the Commonwealth. He faced a difficult choice. Accepting the Litharii meant defying the Council and the Velkari. It meant saying that humanity would protect those the Council abandoned. It was risky, but how could they say no? The Council had cast humanity out. They knew exactly how it felt to be rejected, alone, desperate. If they turned away the Litharii, they would be no better than the aliens who abandoned them. The Commonwealth voted. The decision was clear. The Litharii were welcome, not as refugees or guests, but as full citizens. They would have the same rights as humans, the same opportunities, the same protection. Dayun handled the integration personally. She was chief diplomatic officer now, in charge of all foreign relations. She learned the Litharii language, which sounded like wind chimes and crystal bells. She helped them settle on 3 planets rich in minerals and silicon, places where they could build new homes. The Litharii brought gifts. Their technology was different from human science. They stored data in living crystals. They built computers from light and thought. When combined with human innovations, these technologies created something neither species could have achieved alone. News spread across the galaxy fast. Humanity accepts refugees. Humanity offers citizenship. Humanity protects the weak. More ships began arriving. First just a few, then dozens, then hundreds. The quarrel came next. Their home world had been exploited by council corporations until nothing remained. The council said it was legal. Just business. The quarrel disagreed and fled. The Netheri arrived after them. They had invented incredible atmospheric processors that could create breathable air anywhere. The council demanded they share the technology for free. When the Netheri refused, they were labeled criminals and driven out. The Zin followed. They were called primitive because they lived simple lives. Even though their mathematics was more advanced than most council species, they were tired of being mocked and dismissed. Each species brought something unique. Knowledge, technology, art, culture. The Terran Commonwealth transformed. It was no longer just human. It became a true coalition of equals. Different species living together, working together, building together. Premier Yunji created the equality doctrine. Every species in Commonwealth space had equal rights, equal representation in government, equal opportunity to succeed. It did not matter if you were human or crystal or gas or liquid. Everyone was treated the same. The council claimed to believe in these values, but the Commonwealth actually practiced them. That difference mattered. The Commonwealth needed its own money. They could not use council credits anymore. Dr. Hyunwoo's team created something called the quantum credit. It was secured by quantum encryption, impossible to fake. Its value was backed by real energy production, not just promises. Anyone could verify the system. Everything was transparent. Species that voted against humanity's banishment started using quantum credits. They were tired of Velkari economic control, tired of council banking fees, tired of corruption. The Commonwealth system was honest and fair. That attracted people. Trade networks expanded. Raw materials flowed to Commonwealth factories. Finished goods traveled to distant markets. Technology spread. Everyone benefited. The economy boomed. Then came the message. It arrived through secret channels, heavily encrypted. Someone inside the Galactic Unity Council wanted to talk. The message was brief but shocking. You were right. The Velkari lied. Some of us tried to stop it. 17 council members regret the vote. We want to help. Here are coordinates for a meeting. Dayun traced the message. It came from an administrator named Velshar, from a species called the Kalavari Concordate. They had abstained from the vote 10 years ago. Velshar felt guilty about staying silent. Now they wanted to make it right. The evidence Velshar provided was damning. Original sensor logs showing the Velkari had doctored their evidence. Financial records proving they paid witnesses to lie. Communications between High Chancellor Vexthor and other conspirators planning humanity's expulsion. It was everything they needed to prove the truth. Taewon called an emergency meeting. Everyone came. General Ji-hai, Dr. Hyunwoo, Dayun, Premier Yunji. They had to decide what to do with this evidence. They could reveal it and demand readmission to the council. Prove they were innocent all along. Get their old position back. It would feel good. Vindication, justice, recognition, or they could do something else. General Ji-hai spoke first. Why would we want back in? Look at what we built. Look at what we became. The council is corrupt, slow, and weak. We are strong, fair, and growing. Going back would be a step down. Dr. Hyunwoo agreed. Our technology is better than theirs. Our economy is stronger. Our values are actually real, not just words. We do not need them anymore. Premier Yunji saw opportunity. We reveal the truth, she said, but not to beg for readmission. We reveal it to show the galaxy what the council really is. A corrupt system that punishes innovation and protects monopolies. Then we offer an alternative, Daewon smiled. She understood immediately. We show them we do not need the council. The council needs to fear us. Taewon made the final decision. They would broadcast the evidence everywhere. Every species in the galaxy would see the truth. Then they would make an offer. Join the Commonwealth. Be part of something better, it was decided. The Commonwealth was no longer trying to fit in with the Galactic Order. They were building a new order, and they were inviting everyone to join them. The Council's days of control were ending. A new power was rising, and it was not built on fear or manipulation. It was built on hope, innovation, and genuine equality. The galaxy was about to change forever. 15 years after the banishment, Dayun pressed the button. The transmission launched simultaneously from thousands of relay stations. It could not be stopped, could not be blocked. Every communication network in the galaxy received it at the same moment. The evidence played across billions of screens. Original sensor logs, financial transactions, recorded conversations. All of it proved that the Velkari Imperium had fabricated evidence against humanity. High Chancellor Vexthor had orchestrated the entire conspiracy. The banishment was based on lies. The galaxy exploded with reactions. On Council worlds, citizens rioted. Species that had abstained from the vote felt vindicated. Those who voted against the banishment felt justified. Most importantly, 89 species that voted yes now publicly apologized. They claimed they were misled. They demanded investigations. High Chancellor Vexthor denied everything. He claimed the evidence was fake, that humans were trying to trick everyone. But nobody believed him anymore. The proof was too strong, too detailed, too damning. The Velkari Imperium faced immediate consequences. Nearly 100 council members imposed economic sanctions. Species stopped using Velkari gateways. Their monopoly crumbled. Their wealth evaporated. Everything they built on lies began to collapse. The Galactic Unity Council panicked. They needed to fix this disaster. They extended an official invitation to humanity. Come back, they said. We were wrong. We will compensate you. We will give you a permanent seat on the High Executive, a position reserved for the most powerful species. It was everything Taiwan had dreamed of 15 years. Ego, recognition, respect, justice. Seat at the table where the galaxy's future was. Decided. He traveled to Axis Prime for the first time since the banishment. The council chamber looked the same. The crystalline walls still sparkled. The holographic representatives still flickered with their colors. But Taiwan had changed. He stood before the assembled council. Hundreds of alien species watched him, waiting for his acceptance speech, waiting for humanity to gratefully return to the fold. Taiwan spoke clearly. His voice carried across the chamber. 15 years ago, you expelled us for a crime we did not commit. You took our dignity. You took our connections. You nearly took our lives. We could have died. Many of us did die. But we survived. And in surviving, we built something you never could. He paused, letting his words sink in. A true meritocracy where species are judged by their contributions and character, not their age or influence. You offer us a seat at your table, but we have already built a better table, so we thank you for the invitation, but humanity declines. The chamber erupted. Some species cheered. Others shouted in anger. Many sat in stunned silence. Humanity was rejecting the council. The species that once begged for membership was walking away, but Taiwan was not finished. He made an offer. The Terran Commonwealth is open to all species. Anyone can join if they agree to our charter. Equality for everyone. Transparency in government. Merit-based advancement. No monopolies. No corruption. No lies. Within a month, 47 species applied for Commonwealth membership. Within 6 months, that number grew to 193. These were not minor civilizations. They included some of the Council's most prestigious members. Species tired of Velkari manipulation. Species attracted to Commonwealth technology and genuine equality. Premier Yunji worked day and night to manage the expansion. The government restructured to accommodate hundreds of species. They built a new capital called Aurora Prime, a massive structure orbiting between Earth and the Moon. It symbolized that the Commonwealth belonged to everyone, not just humans. General Ji Hai revealed something that shocked the galaxy. The Commonwealth had been building in secret. Titan-class dreadnoughts, warships so massive they made council vessels look like toys. Each Titan housed 50,000 people. Each had self-sustaining ecosystems. Each could deploy thousands of fighters that could teleport instantly using quantum fold drives. But the real surprise was the possibility drive, Dr. Hyun Woo's latest invention. A single ship equipped with this technology existed in multiple parallel realities simultaneously. You could not destroy it because destroying one version meant nothing. It would still exist in 11 other realities. During a demonstration, one Commonwealth frigate defeated an entire Council patrol fleet. It did not fire a single shot. It just existed in 12 places at once. The Council ships could not target it, could not hit it, could not even understand what they were seeing. The economic shift happened fast. The quantum credit became the dominant currency in a third of the galaxy. Council credits, backed by Velkari gateways and manipulation, lost value rapidly. Trade routes shifted from council space to Commonwealth networks. Money followed opportunity, and opportunity belonged to the Commonwealth. The Valkyrie watched their empire crumble. They tried one desperate move. They hired mercenary fleets to attack Commonwealth outposts. If they could not compete economically or technologically, they would use violence. The attacks failed spectacularly. General Jihai's defense networks detected the mercenaries days before they arrived. Commonwealth rapid response teams neutralized threats with surgical precision. The mercenaries never even reached their targets. High Chancellor Vexthor made one final attempt. He proposed that the Council absorb the Commonwealth, not as members but as leaders. He offered to make Taiwan the new Council Chancellor. He promised to integrate Commonwealth technology into Council infrastructure. He begged. Taiwan's response was delivered via hologram. He did not even bother traveling to Axis Prime. The age of the Council is over, he said simply. You built your empire on control, monopoly, and manipulation. We built ours on innovation, equality, and freedom. History will remember us as the species that made the Council obsolete. The broadcast ended with an invitation. Any species that shares our values is welcome in the Commonwealth. We do not seek to replace the Council with another hegemony. We seek to build something better, a true federation of equals. The choice is yours. Within hours, 73 more species applied for membership. The Council tried to maintain order. They held emergency sessions. They debated responses. They argued about strategies. But nothing worked. Species kept leaving. The Commonwealth kept growing. The balance of power shifted like sand in a storm. Dayun watched it all unfold. She documented every moment for the historical archives. This was not just humanity's victory. This was a fundamental change in how the galaxy worked. For thousands of years, the Council controlled everything. They decided who could trade, who could travel, who mattered. Now that control was gone. Species had a choice: stay with the corrupt old system or join something new, something fair, something that actually practiced the values it preached. More species chose the Commonwealth every day. The Valkyrie Imperium faced bankruptcy. Their gateway network failed more frequently. Their economy collapsed. Their military could not compete with Commonwealth technology. Everything they had was slipping away. Some council members tried to adapt. They implemented reforms, increased transparency, reduced corruption. But it was too little, too late. Why accept reforms when you could join something already better? Taiwan felt no satisfaction in the Council's decline. He was not petty. He did not want revenge. He just wanted humanity and all their allies to be safe, prosperous, and free. If the Council could not provide that, then the Council served no purpose. Premier Unji focused on building, not destroying. Every week brought new innovations. New colonies, new trade agreements, new species joining the Commonwealth. The future was bright and getting brighter. Dr. Hyunwoo continued his research. The possibility drive was impressive, but he had more ideas. Better ideas. He was working on technology that could manipulate the fabric of reality itself, create pocket universes, bend the laws of physics, achieve what gods only dreamed about. General Jihai expanded the defense fleet, not for conquest but for protection. She wanted every Commonwealth member to feel safe, to know that if someone threatened them, the full might of the Commonwealth would respond. The Commonwealth was not just surviving anymore, not just competing. They were winning. And they were winning because they offered something the galaxy had never seen. Real equality, real freedom, real opportunity. The Council's power faded like a dying star. The Commonwealth's power grew like a supernova. And at the center of it all was humanity, the species that was banished, the species that was abandoned, the species that refused to die. They had built an empire, not through conquest or force, but through excellence, fairness, and vision. An empire that welcomed everyone, an empire that elevated everyone, an empire that proved what was possible when you stopped trying to control people and started trying to help them. The galaxy would never be the same. 25 years after the banishment, the galaxy looked completely different. The Galactic Unity Council still existed, but as a shadow of its former power. Only 241 species remained members. Most were too proud to admit they chose wrong, or too economically tied to the Valkyrie to leave. The Terran Commonwealth had grown beyond anyone's wildest dreams. 612 member species across 15 galaxies. population of 17 trillion sentient beings. More importantly, it had achieved what the Council never could. Genuine unity based on shared values, not enforced compliance. Taewon had retired. He spent his final years writing memoirs that became required reading in schools across Commonwealth space. Students learned about the dark days, about the betrayal, about how humanity turned rejection into revolution. His story inspired millions. General Ji-hai served as an elder advisor now. She was too old for active command, but her strategic mind remained sharp. Military academies across the galaxy studied her tactics. Her philosophy of defensive strength became the foundation of Commonwealth military doctrine. Dr. Hyun-woo continued his research despite failing health. His hands shook constantly. His body was worn out from decades of endless work, but his mind still burned with ideas. He trained thousands of brilliant scientists to carry on his legacy. They would achieve things he could only imagine. Premier Yoon-ji had been succeeded by Chancellor Dong-hyun. He was second-generation colony-born, someone who grew up never knowing the Council's rejection. To him and millions like him, the Commonwealth's success was not surprising. It was just normal. Just how things were supposed to be. Da-yoon now directed the Commonwealth Historical Archives. She had spent years documenting humanity's transformation. Her book, From Banishment to Empire, became the definitive account of this era. Every schoolchild read it. Every diplomat studied it. Every species that joined the Commonwealth learned from it. The Commonwealth's technology had only improved. The Stellar Forge network connected every member system with instantaneous travel. Zero-point energy made scarcity obsolete. Any member could generate unlimited clean power. Poverty was becoming extinct. The Genesis engines had transformed hundreds of lifeless worlds into thriving ecosystems. Species whose homeworlds were destroyed found new homes. The Litharii, humanity's first alien citizens, now inhabited a dozen crystal-rich worlds. Their population had grown 1,000-fold. Most remarkably, Commonwealth scientists achieved something thought impossible. They manipulated the fabric of space-time itself, creating stable pocket universes. These dimensional habitats provided infinite expansion without consuming existing space. The possibilities were endless. Then the Velkari Imperium collapsed completely. With most species defected to the Commonwealth, the Velkari could not maintain their gateway network anymore. The infrastructure began failing, first sporadically, then catastrophically. Entire systems were cut off. Ships were stranded. Supply chains broke. High Chancellor Vexthor, now elderly and disgraced, made a final plea. He asked the Commonwealth for help. Several hundred Velkari-controlled systems faced starvation. The same punishment the Velkari intended for humanity now threatened their own species. Chancellor Dong-hyun faced a defining moment. He could refuse. Let the Velkari suffer as they made humanity suffer. It would be justice. Fair revenge. Nobody would blame him. Or he could show that the Commonwealth was truly different. The Commonwealth Council debated for days. Arguments were passionate on both sides. Some wanted revenge, others wanted mercy. The vote was close, but ultimately, they chose compassion. The Commonwealth would provide humanitarian aid, but with conditions. The Velkari must dismantle their gateway monopoly, release all exploited species from economic servitude, and most importantly, apply for Commonwealth membership as equals, not as conquerors. For the proud Velkari, this was devastating. Their entire identity was built on dominance and control. Now they had to accept equality. It felt like death, but survival demanded it. The younger generation of Velkari, led by Ambassador Kexton, understood better. Their ancestors' greed created this crisis. Their ancestors' short-sightedness destroyed their empire. If they wanted a future, they needed to change. The Velkari applied for Commonwealth membership, but acceptance required one final condition. They must issue a formal apology to humanity and the 97 other species they wronged over the centuries. High Chancellor Vexthor, in his last official act before retirement, delivered the apology at Aurora Prime. Billions watched across the galaxy. The architect of humanity's banishment stood before the empire humanity built and admitted his crimes. It was poetic justice. But Chancellor Dong-hyun did not gloat. He extended his hand to the elderly Velkari and said something that defined the Commonwealth's values. What was done cannot be undone. But what we build together can ensure it never happens again. The galaxy watched and learned. This was not vengeance disguised as mercy. This was genuine forgiveness paired with accountability. The Commonwealth meant what they said about equality, even for those who tried to destroy them. Dawn's research uncovered one final truth. The Velkari were not acting alone when they fabricated evidence against humanity. Several other council species quietly supported the conspiracy. They all feared human advancement. The banishment was not one species' greed. It was systemic fear of human potential. She brought this evidence to Chancellor Dong Hyun. He could publicize it, expose all the conspirators, reignite old wounds and create new divisions. Or he could do something else. Dong Hyun sealed the records for 50 years. His reasoning was simple. The Commonwealth was built on looking forward, not backward. Let future generations decide whether this truth serves any purpose. Our job is to build the future, not prosecute the past. On Earth, a monument stood in the heart of New Geneva. A simple stone pillar engraved with 2 million names. Every human who died during the dark years following the banishment. Every person who did not live to see what humanity became. Dayun visited often. Today, she stood before it with Kexton, the young Velkari ambassador who had become her unlikely friend. They represented different species, different histories, different perspectives, but they shared a commitment to making sure such tragedies never happened again. Do you regret it? Kexton asked quietly. The suffering, the isolation, everything your people endured. Dayun considered the question carefully. Around them, the city bustled with life. Humans, Lethari, Quarrel, Zen, and even Velkari worked side by side. Overhead, ships bearing the Commonwealth emblem departed for distant galaxies. Carrying hope, carrying opportunity, carrying the promise of something better. Regret the suffering, she replied softly. Always, every death, every sacrifice, every moment of pain. But regret what we became because of it? Never. The council wanted us to be grateful for scraps from their table. Instead, we built a feast large enough to feed the galaxy. She gestured to the monument. This reminds us of the cost. But look around. This is what makes that cost meaningful. Not revenge. Not domination. But genuine equality. Real opportunity. True freedom. As they walked away, the sun set over Earth. Not the end of a day, but the end of an era. Humanity was no longer the rejected supplicant. No longer the isolated species fighting for survival. They were the architects of something unprecedented. An empire built not on domination but on dreams realized through adversity. The Galactic Unity Council became a historical footnote, a cautionary tale about what happens when power becomes divorced from principle, when control matters more than justice, when fear drives decisions instead of hope. The Terran Commonwealth, meanwhile, grew ever larger, ever more inclusive, ever more extraordinary. It was not perfect. No government ever is. But it tried. It genuinely tried to live up to its values. And that made all the difference. 50 years later, a young historian named Heywan discovered Dayun's sealed records. She learned the full truth about the conspiracy. Not just the Velkari, but dozens of species who quietly supported humanity's expulsion. She debated whether to reveal it. Her mentor, now retired Chancellor Dong Hyun, offered perspective. That history shaped us, he said, but it does not define us. We are not victims who became conquerors. We are builders who turned rejection into revolution. Publish the truth if you must, but remember, our greatness comes not from their failure, but from our response to it. Heywan published her research with an important addendum. A comprehensive study of the 873 species that rejected the conspiracy, and the 612 that ultimately chose to join the Commonwealth. Her thesis became legendary. Humanity was not special because of what was done to us. We were special because of what we chose to do with it. The Commonwealth continued to grow, not through conquest or coercion, but through the simple truth that what they built was better than what came before. Species joined because they wanted to be part of something greater than themselves. They joined because the Commonwealth proved something the galaxy had forgotten. That strength comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down. That true power comes from freedom, not control. That the best way to lead is not to dominate, but to inspire. In the end, humanity's banishment was not their greatest tragedy. It was their greatest gift. It forced them to become something they never,